Hey y'all, I'm Eboni K. Williams here, host and attorney extraordinaire. Welcome to Holding Court, where we analyze the very latest in legal headlines, the ones that got all the streets talking. You know what we do? We dig deep into how the courts impact the culture. We break it down, going straight from gavel to your news feed. And every week, we keep it 100. Right, Dustin Ross?
That's right.
All right, jurors, we're in this countdown. What they call it? The final countdown phase?
The final countdown.
Okay, so each and every episode. The final countdown. All right. Each and every episode, y'all, we're gonna try to keep the docket nice and mixed and spicy. We'll have some celebrity justice for you. We'll do what we always do on the show. But if you think in this historic moment that you are not going to hear about either Kamala Harris and or this election in some capacity, you've got us mistaken.
All the way fucked up. I'm gonna say it. You got
just
me completely
plain old fucked up. So we're going to talk about it because there's different layers, y'all, that you need to know that we want to make sure that you're just tracking as the rest of, the national conversation is about this, that, and the third. We want to just make sure to hip you to some game, as the old folks would say. For sure. And so this week we want to hip you to the game of what will inevitably be a couple of lawsuits. I say a couple. It might be several. It might be one or two. We don't know. That will inevitably be coming all of our ways via the Republican Party. And it's nothing to get in a tizzy about. I personally don't think it's going to be severely consequential, but we know we don't like our jurors to ever get hit over the head in unsuspected ways.
No surprises.
No surprises. We like to be in front of it. So we want to talk about some of the GOP, some of the whining and complaining that they're going to do from a legal posture as it relates to Kamala Harris being the new presumptive nominee for the Democratic nomination the presidency of the United States of America.
That's right.
Also, we're going to talk about these two stories together, the NBA and legal woes. So the first one, I definitely saw coming. This is, y'all have probably seen the headline. The NBA now has sold all of its rights in terms of television and viewing to Amazon. Mm-hmm. And obviously it's because they got the big bag.
They could afford it.
Absolutely. But, Warner Brothers is none too happy. Linear, and I really want to actually have this conversation with you, Dustin, and I'm glad we haven't had it cross-talk before the show, because you are somebody that is a major player in both digital and linear spaces. Mm-hmm. And I'm very curious as to see what you project how that, right now it's, I don't know, contentious, it seems like on the outside, like they're kind of competing. What would it look like if they fed one another? What would it look like if it wasn't this or that? Or maybe you're going to tell me it's just got to be this or that because they are vying for the same product. So I want to hear your take on the Warner Brothers v. Amazon of it all. And right now it's the NBA, but tomorrow it's going to be other scripted content, this and that, the news.
Right.
So this stuff is inevitable. So we'll talk about those legal issues. And the NBA has even more legal to-dos. There are 14, Dustin, NBA teams right now that are all facing individual lawsuits for illegally using copywritten music on their social media posts. So we all know those disclaimers that many of us have to use. I don't own the rights to this music. Well, apparently the NBA didn't get the memo, child, because they got 14 big ones hitting them over the head. Okay, we're going to start with the Republican Party, y'all. The GOP is likely to sue the Kamala Harris for president campaign, but ultimately I do believe it will be for naught. But it's worth talking about because I don't want anybody to be shaken by this, Dustin. I don't want people to be unnerved or unhinged as it relates to these lawsuits, which are inevitably coming. We've already heard the Republican majority leader, I think it's Johnson, talk about they're very upset. Let's just start with that premise. For as much as the Republicans said that they wanted to run against Joe Biden, now that they are no longer running against Joe Biden, they seem big mad about it. Why is that the case?
Oh, for sure, because now they have to work for real.
Oh,
that's why they have to work for real. And they thought they had it in the bag, and they don't.
And so
because
nobody does. Let's be clear. This is not over for Kamala, and it's not over for Donald Trump.
Nope.
This is going to come down to the wire. I'm predicting it now. I don't even think we will have results for 2 to 3 to 4 weeks out of this election day.
Oh, they're going to challenge the hell out of every result that they get. Absolutely.
One.
We already know the playbook based on the last election, but it's going to be even more amplified.
It's going to be more aggressive.
Around.
Yeah, it is.
And so we know that. But again, spaghetti at the wall. That's all this is. They just throwing spaghetti at the wall.
And it's going to slide on down that shit. None of it's going to stick. I love it. I love it. So right now there's two main cases that are being argued from the Republican standpoint. Republican legal experts and think tanks, Heritage Foundation is one of the big ones. They are questioning Kamala Harris's ability to access the money, the bag. We're talking about the campaign coffers. I think it was upwards of 90 million that were in the Biden-Harris. And that's the thing. They were in the Biden-Harris. Emphasis on Harris coffers. And actually, this is one of the reasons that many folks said at the onset when they were pretending, remember, like it was like a week they were pretending they were going to have like an open primary and shit. And ain't nobody raised a pinky toe. Ain't nobody even raised a pinky toe to get in this race for Kamala Harris.
Clearly.
But Gavin Newsom, sit your ass down somewhere. And he did. Along with Pete and the rest of y'all. Sit down. But one of the main arguments, Dustin, was y'all are going to have to start from scratch in terms of getting a piggy bank that is robust enough to even try to run a 100-day presidential race, which is the impossible. At least Kamala Harris, in addition to her, being singularly qualified as the current vice president. Like, I just want to say this piece, D. She said when she, was endorsed by President Biden, I intend to work and earn this nomination. Madam Vice President, you've already earned it. Okay, I don't even know why she felt the need to say that, to be candid, other than to be cute.
You're literally in position.
You are in singular position. Singular. You are not
You're
one
next
of
in line.
50 governors. You're not one of 100 senators.
Right.
You have been, but you've been promoted. You are the only vice president that this nation has.
Yep.
I would say, ma'am, you have already earned it.
Yes.
I digress. Okay. So she, in addition to that qualification, Dustin, she's the only one with full access to the coffers because she is the Harris on the Biden-Harris ticket. Period. Dot. But the Republicans are going to challenge that. So that's fine. And that's why I say you don't even have to go to law school to see the thinness of that argument. Number two, there are going to be many Republicans that say it is not right for Kamala Harris to assume the top of the line ticket after there have been 14 million primary voters that said that they wanted Biden as the nominee. Now, I will say, as I have said historically on this show, I do think that those 14 million primary voters mattered. I really do. And this is why Joe Biden couldn't be technically removed. When we talked about the 25th Amendment and all that stuff, those were the legal mechanisms to push a defiant Joe Biden off the ticket. And clearly the Democrats knew that. And so the only way to really get what they wanted, and when I say the Democrats, I'm not talking about the voters, I'm talking about the big wig party elites. I'm talking about the major donors, and I'm talking about the kind of superdelegates, if you will, right? Your Nancy Pelosi's, your... I don't want to say Jim Clyburn because I don't know if he was as aggressive about it as Nancy, but Nancy and Obama were enough. But between them two right there, it was going to be a problem.
Essentially, the Democratic powers that be.
Essentially. So what they had to do was get it the way they ended up getting it, which was enough pressure, enough whatever. Some people say coercion, some people say persuasion, tomato. Joe Biden had to voluntarily step down.
He did.
And once he did that, now, again, I'm all for, I thought it was really shitty. I'm going to say it plain. I ain't going to even sugarcoat it, Dustin. I thought the way it happened was fucked up. I thought that Joe Biden, and it's not because of Joe Biden. I think any sitting United States president deserves more respect and more just kind of deference than to be so blatantly and overtly disrespected in his position and pushed out the damn door. They really did tell Joe Biden, sit your ass down. Thank you for your services. And this is an ice cream party. They had a whole ice cream party after that speech. They did. They gave that man an ice cream party and said, here's some strawberry ice cream. We heard it was your favorite.
Something soft.
Thank you. Right. Thank you. Something you won't choke on. Thank you for your 50 years of service to the American people. Good day to you, sir.
Wow.
I thought that was pretty shitty. I really did. But
here we are.
It happened. Joe Biden made a decision, as pressed out about it as he might have been, he ultimately decided, and I actually respect his remarks. We're talking about now a couple weeks ago where he had the primetime address from the Oval. He only had 4 of those his entire presidency. And he said, and I really respect him, he didn't say, I've decided. He never said that. Mm-hmm. What he said was, the party decided, and I'm respecting my party. And I think that was the right, honest way to frame it, Dustin. I don't like being lied to. Don't shit in my face and call it snow.
Which is the main problem that people have with the Democratic Party
in
anyway.
General,
so I feel like that was the best approach. Yeah. That was the best possible approach. Keep it real.
Yeah,
also,
he didn't go out like no ass.
That's a slap in the face to other people who were calling for him to step down and being nasty and discussing about, okay, motherfucker, well, here, you got it now.
Yeah, you got it. And I like that he did it that way. You know what? He said to the end, this was never about me not being competent. Mm-hmm. He stood on that. Mm-hmm. He said this was never about my health failing me. He stood on that. This was about a party who had gotten into such disarray around this issue that I am deciding for the sake of the party and for no other reason to hand this off to my vice president.
Straight up.
Straight up. And now where the fuck is my ice cream? Mm-hmm. So those are the 2 claims. So those are the 2 claims that Republicans are likely going to file suit on, Dustin. A, that she should not have access to the coffers because they know the more that she has access to the coffers and the money and the more money she can spend on, particularly on ads and different placements around this candidacy just in these concentrated 100 days, mm-hmm. the bigger threat she is to Donald Trump and the Republican Party.
And they're trying to block that.
And they're trying to block it. Again, I because it's her. Now, to their point, had the Democrats nominated
Joe Blow,
Gavin Newsom, Westmore,
mm-hmm,
any of these names, I actually think there would be a legitimate, I'm not saying they would be successful, Dustin, but I think there would be a legitimate argument. Mm-hmm. There would be an argument to be made because then the donations that had been received up until this point were not in consideration of anybody but Biden-Harris.
Right.
But because she's the Harris and Biden-Harris, I believe they'll clear that fence.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Now, also, again, same thing with these primary voters. People could say, and it's true, that people voted for Joe Biden. People did vote for Joe Biden. But we've also voted for Kamala Harris. Mm-hmm. Because, again, it's the Biden-Harris ticket.
There you go.
So I think, again, these are all reasons that the Democrats are frustrating. At times, they can be aloof, but they're not just downright idiots. And part of the reasoning that it was always going to be Kamala Harris as the replacement candidate for presidency is because she is the Harris on Biden-Harris. And it's really just that simple. But don't get that twisted with the fact that the lawsuits will still be filed.
Right.
They're still going to come because lawyers are going to lawyer, mm-hmm. and Trump's lawyers are especially going to lawyer. And the Republican lawyers are going to lawyer. And that's just lawyers doing their job.
Yeah, I would say I know his lawyers are tired, but we know he changed his counsel, so there's that.
Ask Michael Cohen.
Hello.
Okay. So, with that said, yeah, y'all don't get your panties in a knot. Also, don't take it. I've seen people kind of take it as this super positive, like, oh, they're scared. They're so scared. That's why they're planning to sue.
No.
Don't get in that mindset. This is not about them running scared. Now, are they aware that this is a real race? Absolutely. But don't take the lawsuit as an indicator of anything but lawyers lawyering. That's the point I'm trying to make. That let's not read into it. Let's not assume it means that she's going to have problems, but let's not also assume it means that they're so terrified. This is simply, it's procedural, mm-hmm. y'all. That's what I'm trying to say. This is typical electoral politics and legal procedure.
Yes.
Should not be any more than that. I do not think this is going to rise to the level of a Bush v. Gore, mm-hmm. Supreme Court type of situation.
Don't let it scare you, in other words.
Don't let it scare you. And also don't get beside yourself.
Yeah, don't get complacent.
That's right.
Don't let it scare you. Just take it for what it is.
Just take it for what it is. It's a neutral play. Mm-hmm. People, lawyers file lawsuits. That's what we're supposed to do. And keep it pushing. Okay, now for this Warner Brothers thing, I really am curious, Dustin. So the NBA is, really in a whirlwind right now. They've always really been the center. It's so funny because when you talk about the biggest sports in America, it's the NFL.
Yeah.
But there is this fascination, I believe, right now, especially with the NBA and its global reach, because that is the thing that football is kind of late to the game on. The NBA is more of a global product. And so therefore the streaming / television rights thing, it's imperative, it's inseparable from the overall impact of the National Basketball Association. So for a very, very long time, this is where the Charles Barkley, the TNT show, which is so good, by the way. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah.
The TNT basketball show. It's, many people prefer it to the game, actually.
Absolutely. And it's huge.
Absolutely. Okay, so of course we're talking about the NBA on TNT. This is huge. It's a big, big show. It's Charles Barkley.
Shaq.
It's Shaquille O'Neal. It's Kenny Smith and Ernie.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody love Uncle Ernie.
Everybody.
Okay, so this show is now going away. And one of the main reasons it's going, and Charles Barkley is being very loud about it, by the way. Charles Barkley is none too happy about the show going away. Because it's a big deal. It's a multi-million dollar project. And it is going away because the NBA and its relationship with Turner, which is under Warner Brothers now, it's all going away. And so Warner Brothers now is suing the whole league, the NBA, after the league did not accept the company's matching offer for one of the packages in this upcoming media rights deal. So this is an 11-year deal. So this is extraordinarily long-term, like more long-term than we're used to. They are the parent company. As I said, Warner Brothers is the parent company of TNT because they oversee all of Turner.
Mm-hmm.
And what should have happened, per Warner, is once the NBA went to go procure another deal, which is their legal right, they should have gotten matching rights. Okay. And that is standard normally in a contract, that I can go out and procure other offers, but once an offer is made that I like, you're supposed to take that back, per some contracts, to the original partner and give them an opportunity to match. And if they can't match, then you move on. But apparently Warner Brothers is saying they were not given matching opportunity. So now they're seeking a judgment. And that judgment, they want to be allowed to match Amazon's offer. And they do not want to see the NBA go on over to Amazon Prime for the 2025-2026 season.
Yeah.
And let's be clear, the NBA is not exclusive. They've got deals with Disney. They've got deals with NBC Universal, and now this Amazon deal. This is the new deal. They are saying the NBA was not accepting Warner Brothers' offer of $1 billion a year because it's saying that the deals that they have procured are going to bring in $76 billion over the course of 11 years. So the NBA is saying that the Warner Brother money was too low.
Hey.
That's
business.
It's business.
You can't get mad at that. You know what I mean? But it's also business to, as you say, per the agreement,
right,
for them to offer them the opportunity to match the deal.
So this is what TNT says. This is interesting to me. Given the NBA's unjustified rejection of our matching of a third-party offer, we have taken legal action to enforce our rights. We strongly believe that this is not just our contractual right, but also in the best interest of fans. Yeah, because y'all really give a fuck about the fans. Anyway, I'm sorry. The best interest of the fans who want to keep watching our industry-leading NBA content with the choice and flexibility we offer them through our widely distributed Warner Brothers distribution, video-first distribution platforms, including TNT and Max, because again, all under there. So that's what TNT said. Now, their parent company, Warner Brothers, says this. TBS properly matched the Amazon offer by agreeing to televise the games on both TNT and Max. Just so we're clear, the Max is the streaming platform.
Yes.
So they're saying basically we're offering both linear and streaming in this way. The Amazon offer, this is back to the quote, the Amazon offer provides for cable rights, which includes the TNT rights, because the offer is for games that TBS currently has the right to distribute on TNT via non-broadcast television, which includes both cable and internet distribution. Warner Brothers is also claiming that under its contract that it has the right to match a third party, which I've said to y'all 3 times now, via any form. So they're saying regardless if it's video, linear, whatever it is, we should have the right to match it. The lawsuit is really just pitting, at least to me, Dustin, it seems like it's pitting the notion of streaming rights and linear rights against one another. But as somebody who plays heavily, I'm talking about you specifically, Dustin Ross, in both of those spaces, from your lens, because they say this is about the fans and the talent and all that, what is most advantageous for you?
Streaming. Streaming. That's the future. That's the wave. Linear is always going to be linear. But the bulk of the opportunities to monetize your shit, the bulk of the reach you're going to have, that comes from streaming.
And that's why I think about the global aspect.
Yes. Yeah. Streaming takes it everywhere. So that obviously, of the two, come on.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So the lawsuit itself is another chapter in a deteriorating relationship between the league and Turner Sports that goes on 40 years. Turner has always had an NBA package since 84, so basically since we were born. And the games have been on TNT since the network launched in 88. Is this a case of yesterday's price ain't today's price?
Yes.
Okay.
That's it. Everybody involved in this situation is trying to make it advantageous for themselves, right? Yeah. They know, Warner Brothers obviously knows that they want to be present and tied into the streaming opportunity for the NBA, which is why they wanted to match the offer anyway. Excuse me.
No, I mean,
how much money do you think Amazon offered them? Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. For them to go ahead and take the deal. And so for Warner Brothers to even be willing to match that, that's how you know.
And that piece, right? So Amazon obviously is a new player in all of this.
Yeah, they're trying to establish themselves.
Yes, and they've done it in the NFL, and people were mad about that too. Because again, now when you think about the sports bar, like this is just changing an aspect of American culture. Let's just name that, right?
Yes.
So now people were upset that there were certain games. I think there was even like a playoff game for the first time last year in the NFL playoffs where you could only watch this playoff game if you had Amazon. And people were upset about it. Some people were. But some people were like, this is great. Listen. And to your point, Dustin, because Amazon is new to this space, they have to pony up. It's like in Django when they were like, you got to make me a ridiculous offer for me to even enter because I'm not interested in selling. So, and that's the NBA's position, right? Like we're not really looking for a new partner, but if you make us a ridiculous offer, and I think we can all agree, listen, $76 billion over 11 years, we can all agree that's a ridiculous offer. And I think the NBA's position probably is that they don't believe that Warner or TNT or TBS will legitimately match it. That is why they are probably not moving forward with a match. Like, y'all can't match it because what are we talking about? Because that is, from a business standpoint, I think that would be extraordinarily difficult for TNT and Warner, to be clear. So this is, from just a legal lens, this is a very interesting case, Dustin, because you've got standard operating procedure, which we talked about, which is we're in a contract, we're in our shopping window. We all know what a shopping window is. Go out and procure something. And what the NBA has done is procured something that is so unfathomable, so ridiculous, so unheard of, that the normal matching opportunity doesn't really apply in the same way. Because I've procured a deal you cannot match. We saw this in Ray. You know, I like to watch these old black movies over and over again.
The references make it real.
Yeah. So I was watching Ray last weekend. Don't worry about it. I was minding my business, being a whole pregnant woman in the summertime in the air condition. And when Ray's deal with Atlantic Records came up, Ray was happy with Atlantic. He was also with that nostalgia and that loyalty. And let's not undermine that piece. In this NBA piece, Dustin, Warner Brothers and TNT are feeling away. Yeah. Because it's been a 40-year relationship.
Amazon interrupted all that.
And Amazon interrupted that. Well, going back to Ray, that's what ABC did. Ray had been with Atlantic. Ray did great with Atlantic. Everybody made money. But when ABC is willing to offer this black man at that time the full rights to all of his masters, Ray went to Atlantic and say, this is what ABC is giving me. State-of-the-art studio, full rights to my masters, this, and this, signing bonus, whatever the fuck it was. Can you match it? At least Atlantic had the integrity to say, we would love to, but we cannot. And guess what? They were still mad.
Yeah.
So that's the other piece, y'all. Like, business is business, but when you really get under the hood of these long-standing, highly lucrative deals, even though Dustin's like, it's just business. It is just business, but they still be mad about it. And I think that applies here. I feel like TNT, TBS, Warner, they all know they're not in a fiscal. First of all, they're barely surviving. Let's just zoom out. And again, Dustin's speaking to this in a way I can speak to it a bit. We're selling products to these people. We're having pitch meetings with these people.
Right.
Y'all, they're bleeding projects.
We know the climate.
We know the climate. This is part of the reason, I think it's still inexcusable, but this is part of the reason that we saw Rap Shits, we saw Sweet Life, we saw all these shows get canceled off of HBO Max in the past year. So y'all can barely retain the content y'all have. And the NBA is supposed to believe you about to pop up with $76 billion to retain us? No, I think the NBA feels like y'all about to play us is probably the positioning. And as opposed to re-signing with our partner of 40 years, who, yes, we agree, TNT, NBA on TNT with Shaq and Charlie and them is great, but we have to think about our future.
Right.
And when we see our other major sports competitor, the NFL, putting playoff games on Amazon, like begets like. And this is, I really wanted your take and you gave it to me, but it tracks, Dustin. It's not just Dustin or content creators or non-scripted or scripted. When you're talking about the billion-dollar industries known as the NBA and the NFL, and they're going to Amazon, all the rest of us have to pay attention.
Come on. That's a shift that indicates there's a reason that shift
There's
is
a reason
place.
that has happened. And it's not just because people want to be on Amazon or people want to just be on Netflix or people just want to be on whatever. Yeah. It's happening in broad stroke and in real time.
And that sort of partnership legitimizes Amazon in a way that is tremendously valuable for them. Now
they are arguably the biggest player in sports.
Clearly.
You know what I mean? Clearly. Like you doing NFL playoff games, you're doing the whole, NBA contract season along with Disney. Again, another primarily streaming platform. They're getting more and more streaming.
Yeah.
And who else did I say? Disney and NBC Universal, which is Peacock. This is it's like kind of, and so that's,
I know.
Yeah. And that's the problem with Max, right? It's like, even when you think about, and listen, I think NBC and Peacock has some worrying to do as well. I think this is what I'm actually getting to these conclusions in real time as I talk this through. So thank y'all for bearing with me. I think it's the linear channels that have tried to make streaming a side dish. So this is NBA Universal, Big Peacock, and the Big Peacock, NBC Universal, and then there's Peacock, the streaming platform. But we know that there's been some fiscal struggle there.
Yeah, for sure.
Same thing with Warner. Warner's big, and then you've got Max as the streaming partner. We just talked about how much cancellation they've had to do in the last year.
Apple, look what Apple just announced. Apple, they said they're cutting all their funding for Apple TV and the original programming.
They have to. What are they?
They're not making
like 3
any
shows.
money.
Yeah, and I watch all 3 of them. They're good. I liked Palm Royale.
Yeah,
I enjoyed Little Palm Royale. I enjoyed the morning show.
Yeah,
but you cannot justify these subscription fees for this limited programming. And the difference with Amazon is they're not a side dish to themselves. They're all in on the streaming piece. And I think same with Disney. There's still the Disney Channel, and then there's Disney Plus. You know who had a grand opening, grand closing on this model?
Who?
CNN.
Ooh,
you remember
didn't
that?
they? Yes, they did.
Ooh, baby. Those shows never even saw the light of day. CNN tried to have CNN.
And what was the name of the
which was also under Warner, by the way.
Yeah.
I think it was CNN Plus.
CNN Plus, yeah.
Yeah, it was supposed to have a show with Jamel Hill and Carrie Champion. They were supposed to have, listen, Chris Wallace had to take his ass right on back to classic CNN.
Yeah.
I mean, they just turned him right up the fuck around. So, yes, this is, y'all jurors, pay attention here. This is about the NBA, but this is not about the NBA. This is about a broader cultural shift as it relates to the relationship between how each and every one of y'all and us are getting our content. There is the linear piece with the side bay of streaming, which I don't think we're seeing it's not sustainable. We're seeing that in real time, which is why the NBA is saying we're not going to play with it.
Yep.
You know, and they probably are willing to, listen, again, all these people have very smart lawyers on their team. They saw this litigation coming. They are willing to sustain it. What will likely happen, jurors, is this will be settled at a very high sum. And it's still going to be worth it to the NBA because the sum from Amazon is so fucking ridiculous. So what, they have to settle out even $25 billion.
They could care less.
And we're moving on.
You know how much money that is?
Yeah, this is a good one. This is fascinating.
Yeah. And it's interesting to watch it play out because, like you said, the implications of this and the impact of this are far-reaching. Far-reaching.
I mean, it literally, every last one of us with a microphone. But also, again, jurors, y'all too, right? Because I'm sure what's happening is some of y'all are already doing this math between, I got a Peacock subscription, I got a Max subscription,
Netflix.
I got a Netflix subscription, I got an Amazon subscription, I got a Hulu, which is ABC, which is Disney. Like, you see what I'm saying? So now we need to start thinking about, so in a minute, is it just going to be Netflix and Amazon? Because it is for some people right now. And if it's that, and I can get my Sunday sports shows, I can get my movies, and I can get a couple of scripted shows I like.
Why wouldn't I just rock with that?
I'm gonna leave it alone. But that's where it's heading.
So is Warner Brothers.
Yes. Let me tell you who else gonna leave it alone. Warner Brothers. Moving on.
Yes.
Last piece of the docket here, y'all. 14 NBA teams are being sued for copyright infringement. 14 separate actions in federal court, because this is copyright. We're talking about the fact that several have been accused, each club, 14 different teams, y'all, of copyright infringement from music that they're using to promote on social media, specifically Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. And I'm always going to call it Twitter, just like I'm always calling Kanye. I don't know this yet, and fuck that. Anyway, all to increase viewership and engage its fan base. Now, who's being sued? The Knicks, 76ers, Hawks, Cleveland Cavaliers, Denver Nuggets, Indiana Pacers, the Miami Heat, Minnesota Timberwolves, the New Orleans Pelicans. We see a theme, you know, it's a lot of music cities, right?
Yeah.
Orlando Magic, Phoenix Suns, Portland Trail Blazers, Sacramento Kings, and the San Antonio Spurs. So those are the 14 teams, y'all. They're all being sued. Now, let's talk about the New York Knicks. Music companies are specifically suing them because it's the Knicks, right? So they're doing a lot of Jay-Z, a lot of Cardi, a lot of New York artists. Same thing with Philadelphia. They're using a lot of Meek Mill. Atlanta goes without saying. So that's Migos, that's Outkast, all these ATL acts. So this is expected from a culture, and I see why the teams are doing it. But again, they're doing the math, Dustin, and I guess what they're saying is whatever benefit they're getting from the engagement of using these illegally obtained, because that's exactly what they are, illegally obtained samples is worth them paying out, I suppose, the cost. We'll see. In each case, the overarching allegation is the same, that the sophisticated corporate entity, the NBA team, has stolen music that it knew it was supposed to pay for.
Yeah.
I guess that's the question, though, right? Like, per Dustin Ross and keeping it player, why not just pay the artist up front?
Why not? And it is literally intellectual property, right?
Absolutely.
Come on. This is the name of the game. Ownership of your intellectual property as an artist is what it's all about.
And you should be paid accordingly.
They know damn well as many videos as they strike down for people reposting their content, posting clips from the games and shit. They strike that down all the time.
That's true.
They are no strangers to this, and they know exactly what they're doing.
Yes, they are.
And I will forever be on the side of protecting the artist's rights.
Yeah.
When it comes to intellectual property, pay those fucking people like you should. Figure it out.
Yeah. Pay the fucking people like you should. Dustin Ross's quote. Said another way, defendants are acutely aware. Defendants are acutely aware of the protections that the copyright laws of the United States afford. Same exact statement.
Yeah.
Same exact statement. They know what they know. They're being trifling. They're trying to come at it on the back end when you could have just been straightforward and dignified on the front end and pay these artists their fees as you executed the theft.
Now it costs them more. They have to pay.
And it also just kind of looks
fees.
bad.
Yeah.
It looks sloppy and it looks entitled.
Yes.
I would say. But that's what's going to happen. They're going to continue to use the music and then, all of that, and they're just going to pay on the back end versus I agree with you, Dustin. They should have kept it player. They should have just honored the legal and kind of moral entitlement to the artist for their work and pay these people on the front end.
There's so much opportunity there for them to get more, if what they want is like dynamic videos or dynamic video assets, right? That they accompany. I hate using content, so I try to go around it as far as I can.
But because it is more, that's a more precise term.
Let's get specific, right?
Yeah, it is.
So if
you're creating
goal,
assets.
you know what I'm saying? If their goal is to create dynamic assets that involve music, why wouldn't you loop the artists in properly? You can have the artist perform in some capacity.
Absolutely. Well, now,
it creates a suite of opportunities.
Because they're being cheap asses. Let's just name it, right? And this is the NBA. And really what they need to start doing, like you said, is stop being so cheap and kind of, let's just say cheap. And on this one be a little, right. On this one be a little bit more like the NFL, right? So I think we've all seen an uptick in the quality of the NFL's assets and just the broader collaborations with the Rock Nation partnership, right? And then and other teams have different ways in which they execute this. We saw the Dallas Cowboys with Dolly Parton last year. Those things work. Those things are highly profitable. They make your team and your organizations look very high echelon.
People who buy tickets to professional sporting events are the same. That's the same audience that supports music, movies, and it's entertainment.
Well, and what most of these teams are jointly, they're joint ventures in that way. Like Madison Square Garden, the Knicks, it's Madison Square Garden. The Knicks are one posture of that space. But you better believe every big show, every big artist, every big comedian, they're also coming through Madison Square. They are the actual business entity, Dustin, to Dustin's point, y'all, is the broader entertainment complex.
And so the inclusion of music plays right into that.
Correct.
Think about how heavily present music is when anytime you're at a sporting event, anytime you're watching a game, they're playing music as the ball is going back and forth, up and down the court, back and forth the field, all of that shit.
All of that. So just go, basically, I hear you saying, Dustin, just go all in. Just go all in. Stop trying to piecemeal it.
You can't get around it when it comes to music,
it's parsing
licensing,
it out. Just
ownership, rights.
Just go all the way in.
You cannot get around that.
I concur.
You might as well.
Yeah, especially with these big, Atlanta. Just be in a relationship with whatever label, I was saying the face.
Right.
Let me go.
Why wouldn't you do that?
Right.
Like, why wouldn't you? I think that is a huge missed opportunity, and it's just ultimately bad business. Yeah. You should be able to anticipate this.
Yeah.
If you're in leadership for the NFL and working in this area, like you should be able to anticipate that.
But I think they did. That's what I'm saying. I think they did anticipate. I think they just chose to be raggedy.
Like, well, fuck it. We just want to do it until they tell us we can't.
It's like running the speed cam. Like, I know I'm in the wrong because you're in the wrong, and I will deal with the consequence on the back end. And like you said, I'm gonna get away with it as long as I can, which won't be long, and then we'll settle up on the back end versus operating in good faith and professionalism. So the NBA kind of looking a little raggedy on this one.
And they already been looking raggedy, so this is not a good look for them at all.
No,
not at all.
To all. All right, jurors, that's it for this week's edition of Holding Court. We want to just thank y'all so much for rocking with us as usual. In the meantime, y'all stay safe. Y'all know, unlike the NBA, that we can't just be out here stealing people's artistry. So I love the fact that, folks are really respecting the assets because people do that, and we appreciate that. So keep the faith, y'all. Stay prayed up, stay moisturized, stay hydrated. Use your sunblock. We are in August.
Deep. We are deep in the
We're
throes
deep
of
into
summer.
The throes of summer.
So please use your sunscreen and then use your sunblock.
All of it, not suntan lotion.
Yeah, no, because that's gonna have you. You're gonna get a different result.
Yeah, that's gonna be a different result. Not even our lightly melanated family.
That's right.
Stay with the sunscreen. and sunblock.
And when you're rubbing it on that shoulder, take that deodorant and rub it underneath that mouth. Put it under that arm, okay?
And you might, I saw somebody do this the other day, and it's smart. I'm gonna start doing it. You might want to just walk around with a carry size of deodorant.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, because, a retouch throughout the day goes a long way.
Yes. For real. Bars, Ebony, bars. MCE.
That's it.
Right.
What you want the people to do, D?
Read your terms and conditions and come back to Holding Court. See y'all next week.
Holding Court is produced by Uppity Productions. Host and executive producers here, Eboni K. Williams, yours truly, and the Dustin Ross. Executive producer in Dossie, McCraw. Our senior producer, Ashley Hobbs. Creative consultant, Jay Kleinberg. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any and everywhere you get your podcast.